So this is going to be a little bit different than usual. So we're not going to be talking about stuff on computers. This is going to be physical security. And so I'm just going to ramble a little bit about stuff I've seen on campus. I'm just going to have like some pictures up here. If you guys have any questions at any point, you can interrupt me and just raise your hand and ask, and we can talk about it. I might tell you to save your questions for the end if we run low on time because there's a lot of slides. But yeah.
Before we get to that though, let's go ahead and do the announcements.
Okay.
Next slide. All right, so raise your hand if this is your first time here. Cool, okay. Well, welcome back, guys. This is our weekly general meeting. We're meeting on Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30 in Mo's 1224. We also have our CTF meetings on Tuesday. From here on out, we're going to be in IC 105. Join our Discord or Instagram if you haven't already. Officers this year, I'm Socket. John is over here. Caleb is back there. And Seja here. Seja could not make it today. All right, so we've got Sunshine CTF this weekend, hosted by HackUCF. It should be a pretty low-key, more big-friendly probably than even Seesaw, if I had to guess. So a good place to get some practice and get into CTF if you haven't been doing them yet this semester. NSA Codebreaker is also live. It's an annual contest hosted by the NSA. Runs for a couple of months. Important notes that it's a solo CTF, meaning that unlike other CTFs that you already participate in, you can't actively collaborate with other people at GreyHat on the challenges. You can ask general questions about maybe topics and stuff, but nothing specific to any particular challenge that you are working on. In the past, for the past what, 3 or 4 years, we won first place. Hopefully we can keep that and keep that going.
So it started yesterday. I think it started yesterday.
It did start. Sorry, yes, I didn't fix the slide. Yeah, it started yesterday at 12 noon Eastern time. So it's up right now. You can go ahead and make an account, register, and use your GT email if I remember correctly. And the interesting thing about this challenge is that when calculating team scores, it takes the aggregate of every member associated with a school that is competing. So even if you join, you only solve 1 or 2 challenges out of the however many 7 or 8 that they have, and they get exponentially harder for what it's worth. Those 100 or 200 points that you've earned will be contributed to GT's overall performance. So more people competing is more better for us. Yes.
You know when the end of it is, the deadline?
Good question. I think it runs for 2 to 3 months, but you should check the website. Obviously, some of the challenges are very hard. I think last year there was a Go binary that took some really experienced members a literal month to reverse. So start early and you'll probably be able to get farther. Also, in the past, it's the saying's been, if you full solve everything, the NSA gives you a guaranteed expedited interview. And I think if you get up to a certain stage, I think it's 80 or 90% of the challenge solved, they still send you a goodie bag.
Okay.
You can move the thing out of the way if you'd like.
How do I do that? Okay. I'll put this down here. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about how to get into different places on campus. This is a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think things I'm going to talk about should get into almost every room on campus. But yeah. So if you're going to listen to the stuff I'm saying, and if you are interested in trying it out, you should not do it on anyone else's rooms. Okay, so any place that you're not supposed to be anyway, right? You're probably fine if you do this in your own dorm room, as long as you don't disassemble, damage, or in any way do that to any of the locks or mechanism of the door. But as long as you do some stuff that's non-destructive and to your own stuff, it's probably fine. If you were to try to get into somewhere you're not supposed to be, that would count as criminal trespass, which is a misdemeanor, which you do not want. And if you get in with the intention of committing some other crime like stealing or something like that, then it's burglary or breaking and entering, which is usually a felony, which is worse.
Any people experience?
No, I'm speaking from what ChatGPT told me. Okay, and in addition to legal ramifications, GT will probably not be very happy about that. from their website, they say that if you commit any of these things, which is unauthorized entry into any place on campus, or if you make or possess a key that allows you to access anywhere that you're not supposed to be, you could face like referrals, suspensions, expulsions, something like that. I think it depends on like how many times you're caught doing it. So while we're going through this, think about what is stopping a door from opening and under what conditions will that thing let the door open, right? So there's like a few different ways to get around it. There's multiple attacks that I'm going to talk about, but just to start off, has anyone like thought about this before? Like how you would get into a room if you didn't have access?
Cloning bus cards and using them to trick the NFC sensors.
Okay, so that's a good first idea, but the bus card system uses RFID, Me Fair Desfire. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it is like the newest version of the technology, which has not been cracked by anyone for a while. I think it's like a challenge and response style protocol. So the actual data is never sent over plain text, but there's actually an encryption key that's stored on the card that you really can't remove. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna work out. You?
I'll just
wait
around and pause.
Yep, okay. So that would be like a social engineering attack, right? That's probably the most effective way to get into somewhere you're not supposed to. Convince them that you like lost your card or something. Keep going. Yeah. I know that like I've gotten locked out of my room a couple times and I call the housing office and they just let me in. They don't even like verify that I am who I say I am or check anything. They just open the door, say, have a good day, and then leave. So I mean, I think that would be pretty effective. You can also just tell someone, follow someone into a door, tell them that you're supposed to be there. Yeah, okay. That's also another way of doing it. That requires a little bit more skill and practice and stuff. That's a little more difficult. So I'm not going to talk anything about lockpicking. I'll talk a little bit at the end, but most of this stuff is not going to include any lockpicking or any social engineering at all. Back?
Shim between the
Yeah, so we'll talk about shimming, yeah.
So the residents all it on and the door frames are old enough, like people have already tried, but so a lot of the door frames are already broken and you just break into some of the rooms, just don't put them on the door hard enough.
Oh, right. So the door frames have like some flex so you can push them out, is what you're
I
saying?
mean, yeah, and that's happened because a lot of people have tried doing that in the past.
Okay.
Stainless door
Okay,
frames, it's fine,
yeah.
they should do that now.
Okay. I haven't seen any residence halls where that's happened. I think the H3 apartments are a little newer, so they don't have like as much flex in the door frames. But yeah, I've heard of other people doing that, not in GPT, but in other places too. Okay. Okay. So one way you can get in is this is called a latch, right? So basically what it's doing to stop the door from opening is it's out inside the door frame, and then when you try to pull the door back, it hits the door frame and doesn't let you go out. But the thing is, when you close the door, it goes in without you having to turn the door handle. So you can make the latch think that it's just being closed by the door, right? If you just put a tool in and you just push that latch in. And the tool that you would use to do this is called the Traverse hook or Carolina roller. It's just like a piece of metal that you put in and you twist. I have a couple here. I think it's from like a textile factory. They use it to like make stuff. I don't know, but it's useful for this. Yeah. So yeah. And you can see that a lot of the doors have like a pretty big gap. It's kind of hard to see on here, but the tool fits easily inside with a lot of room to spare. So this is sometimes a little difficult because on most doors, right, you have the door frame on the side that you're on, and then the door is on the other side, and the hinge is also on the other side, right? So in order to get in, you kind of have to go around, which is a little bit harder when you have like a rigid piece of metal like this. But if you have something flexible, like a credit card, or even better, you can just like take any random piece of plastic and just shove it in there and then do it. Sometimes you might want to like cut a little piece and then you can hook it, but usually just any piece of plastic will work. I've seen people on like pen testing, red team engagements, they just go into the dumpster in the back. They got like used like orange juice bottle and they just cut like a rectangle out of it and just shoved it in and got in. So yeah, that's something that you can do. Sometimes to prevent this, what they'll do is they'll put like some sort of plate in front of the latch right, in order to block access. They have something similar on some of the doors where they have like a little like plastic thing. I don't think that's meant for this specifically. I think that's meant for like weatherproofing to stop like the air from going out or something. I'm not entirely sure. But if you just like look, you can see the light coming through the holes. It's not so apparent in the picture, but when you see it in person, it's pretty easy to see that there's a bunch of light gaps in there. But even if they have a plate that like fully covers it, you can just go below it or above it. You just need a slightly longer tool in order to reach. So these doors, like in dorms or in most of the classrooms, in addition to the latch, they'll have what's called a dead latch. So the way that works is you can see. Okay. Yeah. So you can see this is the first picture, right? This is the latch all the way out, and I have the dead latch pressed in. So when I try to press the latch in while the dead latch is pressed, this is as far as it goes in. So when the dead latch is pressed in, the latch can't go in. So when you're just closing a door and it's open and you're closing it, the dead latch starts off out. So when you just close the door, then the latch can go in and the door can close. But when you're trying to unlock a door, the dead latch is pressed in by the door frame, but the latch is out, right? If anyone doesn't understand that, I can like show you on the door here. But yeah. So well, actually, if I show you with the mouse, right? Here, this is the strike plate, right? You can see my mouse. This is the strike plate, and this is the latch. So the latch goes into the strike plate, and when the door is closed, the latch pops out. But the dead latch here is below the strike plate. So dead latch stays pressed in when the door is closed. So that's how you know, oh, is someone trying to shim it by pressing the latch open, or is the user just trying to close the door, and that's what's causing the latch to come in. So most of the doors here on campus, you can't do that. Unless the strike plate is installed improperly. So you can see here that the dead latch is installed so it also retracts into the strike plate. So even when you close the door, it thinks it's just open, so you can easily just use a traveler's hook to push the latch in. Yeah. This is an interesting faceplate. Someone installed this upside down. So you can't extend the deadbolt or the latch or the dead latch. I'm not really sure how you install this and don't think maybe I did something wrong here, but yeah, I noticed this. It's called a faceplate or a latch plate. It's just on the stairwell. I was walking up like to my like room and I just saw the door, and I just looked at it. I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah, you have a question?
This specific instance is like on purpose because like I'm pretty sure like all of the stairwells on campus have like don't have like access restrictions on them. I remember both FSTAT and its CSS, they both like the stairwells like are unlocked.
So I'll talk a little bit more about that. This was the only door in my building or that I've seen on campus that has had this happen. So I don't know. I guess this was not a very common mistake, but they most of the doors in my building have the faceplate installed correctly, but they just disabled the like buzz card tapping thing where it like always works the door. Yeah, I think they can just turn that off. Like also they can do it based on the hours. So like some buildings I know where like you don't need a buzz card to get in like 9 to 5, but if you're going at a certain time, then you need a buzz card to get in. So yeah. Okay, so some other bypasses. Right, most of you already talked about that, so I'm not gonna like ask you, but we just need a way to convince the door that we or someone who doesn't need authorization, right? So we can of course say that like we have the right bus card or something, but because of you don't want to have people locked inside, right? So if you can convince the door that you are someone that's already inside, you can just open the door. And some of you guys have probably heard of this, but you can just reach under the door and then pull the handle, right? Then you can convince the door that you're someone who is inside that's trying to get out, right? And in most of the doors around here, there should be plenty of space for you to put something under, grab the door handle, and pull down and convince it that you're someone inside. Okay, so I'm going to go on a little tangent first before I talk about that, about fire code and why buildings are constructed the way they are, because that will inform, potential solutions to this and stuff like that. So NFPA, right? Before I go any further, NFPA 80 is National Fire Protection Association, and 80 is like the number for like the fire code that they publish, I think, like the version or something. I don't know. But pretty much everywhere internationally follows this fire code, or at least in the US, including Georgia Tech, Georgia. So they have a lot of regulations for fire doors. So the maximum clearance that you can have under a fire door is 3/4 of an inch. Because what happens is when you have fire on one side and you don't have fire on the other side, there's too big of a gap, right? The fire can go under, and the heat and the smoke and everything also travels under, and the heat can help start fires, and smoke can like make it hard for people to escape. And so yeah, so the reason we have fire doors is to separate areas and contain fires, and a big part of that is the gap under the door, because gaps, they can really compromise a door's integrity. So yeah, that's really important. Another thing is fire doors are never allowed to be propped open. That's like even worse than having a big gap, right? You just have the door propped open. Now that defeats the whole point of a fire door. Yeah.
Is there a minimum clearance?
There's no minimum clearance. The lower the clearance, the better. Like if you have like a sealed fit, that's like even better. That will keep out like fire for like really, really well. I don't have any pictures up here. We can like look some up later, but like you can see a huge difference between like they do I think Underwriters Lab is the place that does it. They test like locks and like fire safety equipment and safes and everything. But they have like videos where they show you like different gaps underneath the door, and you can see how quickly the fire gets to the other side, how much damage is done. And you can, there's like a huge difference from even tiny changes in the door gaps underneath. Right? And you can't have combustible stuff in a stairwell. That's an egress path, and it should be like safe. You know, and you can't use exit stairwells for other stuff, like including storage of stuff. It has to be just for egress. And you have to have fire door and frame labels must be visible and legible. So Underwriters Lab is this company that certifies fire doors. And the company that makes the fire door puts like a label on the inside of the door, like with the frame. And if you open a door, you can see it on the inside. And it should be like what type of door it is, what company made it, and they'll have like a unique ID that you can for each door, I think, that they install. And if you like see a problem, you can report it to them. And painted over or illegible labels are a really common issue found during fire inspections, right? They always have to be visible. And there are huge fines if you don't comply with these fire regulations, because in the past, you know, people dying during fires is a huge issue. It's very lucky that we live in a world where that does not happen, but there have been very, very many big fires where a lot of people died. So that's why we have all these regulations. I'm not actually sure if this fire code are part of the Americans with Disabilities Act, but I think this applies not just for fire doors, but like pretty much every door. So there's a maximum of 5 pounds of force required to operate like a door, or at least most of the lever style doors, right, where you turn it. I think I think it's the same for like push style doors where you have like crash bar or a push bar, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And you can't have like a complex motion. It has to be like a simple motion. Like when people are in a panic and there's a fire and you're trying to escape, you just have to be able to just get out without thinking too much about it, about like how you do it, right? So you just like a push bar, you just run into the bar, you just there's a crowd behind you, and you just push it and you go open, and a lever you just push down. You can't have in some houses in residential areas, you might have kind of doorknob where it's like a round thing and you have to grab it and twist it. That's usually not allowed. I think in residential areas it's okay because you don't have like a big crowd behind you. But in most of these larger like educational or big buildings, you have to use one of those kinds. And the handle heights are pretty standardized. At least at Georgia Tech, I think it's like 36 inches everywhere. But these are the legal limits, 34 to 48 inches. I think in certain areas it can go up to 56 for very specific scenarios. And again, yeah, you need to comply with those. Okay. So pretty much every single door in like my building has had the fire labels painted over. So I can't really tell what kind of brand of door these are, or like I couldn't look up like the installation requirements or any sort of like whether these were in compliance, but like the fact that they're painted over is a pretty big violation already. Yeah. You can see like the labels here, and you can like sort of make out a little bit, but I couldn't really figure out what it was supposed to say. And the people who painted over like the buildings, they painted over a lot of stuff. Like there are like they're like things in the walls where like I think like for temperature control or something, or like electrical like places, they have like cabinets in the wall. They just painted over everything. Like even the keyholes are filled with paint. Like you cannot use any of this. So I don't know. They just painted everything. This is storage in a stairwell with cardboard, which is combustible. There's also a carpet here. So I'm not exactly sure how that plays into the fire code. I'm not an expert on fire code. I just kind of looked up some stuff and I've seen like some videos on it. Yeah, question?
Do not send a fire inspector to the couch music building, they can go on water. It's so bad.
Okay. The music building?
Yeah.
What specifically?
Everything, every single stairwell is a storage there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know if that stairwell exits to outside or?
So right here, there's a door. There's
That
an
goes outside?
exit door. Yeah.
That's
Right.
wild.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we should get this fixed for our safety. I know we have a representative from RHA here who can you know take our issues to the Residence Hall Association and make these residence halls a little bit safer, maybe. Okay. Yeah, of course, because you don't live in the residence halls. Not your problem.
I do, but I just don't care.
Okay. Every single door in the stairwell of this, both stairwells of this building are being propped open. This is not even like there's a lot of like doors that are propped open with magnetic locks, and then when there's like a safety incident like a fire or a security incident, the magnets will disengage and the doors will close and lock and keep out fires or people. But this is just like a mechanical door stop. Like this is just open. Like if there's a fire, the fire's spreading to all the floors. Like anyone going down the stairwell is burning. So fire code violation. Okay, so this is my room. I measured like the door gap. This is a little like measuring tool, like 3D printed. But 5/8 of an inch. That's like this is a 1/2 inch. This is my friend across the hall. He has 3/4 of an inch, which is like the maximum allowed. This is like a stairwell, right? So you could argue that on the individual rooms, they put like the fire doors, like the same door installed everywhere. But on individual rooms, maybe you don't need like a fire divider that like keeps the fire out. But like on the stairwell, you definitely need like a fire door that protects the fire from spreading. And this is like, I could slide the whole measuring tool easily inside. That's like, that's quite a bit over 3/4 of an inch. This is like a main room and roof access, you know. So like a lot of rooms where you wouldn't want people getting in. This in my building in the H3 apartments, this is like the tightest tolerance I found, which was like 1/4 of an inch. I think some of the other buildings are less shoddily constructed. I saw in like some other buildings, they're like 1/8 of an inch, like Caldwell, which is a little better, but I mean it's a little better. Like it's much better for like the fire, but not quite good enough to keep people out with security. So if you want to exploit this, and find a way to get in, like I said, you can just put something under the door and then pull the door handle as if you were someone inside trying to get out. And even if you have just like a 1/8 of an inch, right, that's easily enough to get like a thin wet piece of metal, like a hanger inside. This hanger, I think this is aluminum. This it's what is it? I think it's 1.8 millimeters diameter, which is like 1/2 of an 1/8 of an inch, I think. Something like that. It's well under, you could easily get that in. So yeah, what I did is I just bent it a little bit and in a little shape where you can put it under and grab the handle. So this is like 2 different designs I made. One of them, when I didn't have like the ribbon, I just took this from the makerspace. When I didn't have the ribbon, I just put it into a hook. And then when I did have the ribbon, I just had to get the ribbon around the handle. So I can show a video of how it works.
Say too short.
What?
Is that YouTube short?
No, that's Google Drive. Yeah, I'm not uploading this publicly. Well, I mean, this is gonna be public anyway on YouTube, so I guess it is. Okay, I did not realize that there was audio. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is you just bring it over, you find the handle, and then you just pull down. So that in total was about like 15 seconds. So if there's no one around, you could probably easily do this without anyone noticing. Yeah. So basically what I did is I just put it in flat, I turned it up, and then I put it against the wall. So like I leaned it back so it was against the door and slid it over until I felt it hit the door handle. But I didn't want to bring it down directly on the door handle because there's a lot of torque. Like there's 5 pounds of force, right? But if you're doing it that close to the axis of rotation, you're gonna need a lot more torque. So I brought it out a little bit until I felt the so that's like called the California return, is the style of door handle that is. So basically it hooks back. So I brought it back until I could feel that hook. And then I just pulled it down with the ribbon. And that opened the door. With if you don't have a ribbon, it's actually a little bit more annoying. Can I go back? Yeah. So if you don't have a ribbon and you just do it with this, you kind of have to pull the whole hanger and you have to like bend the metal and you have to hope that the metal doesn't deform at the other end. So that's a little more annoying. But with ribbon, it's a lot easier because if you have like a string or something, that's better for tensile stress. So yeah, this. Okay. You can buy like these tools online. These are like, yeah, it took me like 15 seconds to get in, but like you can do it a lot faster if you have like an actual tool that's meant for it. And these are like $30 and you have to pay for like shipping and stuff. There's like cheap ones kind of on Amazon, but these are like, there's ones for like $10, but like a lot of these are the same price. So, I mean, it's much easier if you just make one yourself. You can get like a hanger online for like $1, I think. They come in like packs of 10 for like $10. So what you can do is you can just unwind this, right? And then actually, you can actually bend this by hand, but it's a little bit easier if you have some pliers. Um, so what you can do is you can just take some pliers and straighten this out. Okay, so this is mostly straight. So if you were going to do the design with like without any string, what you would do is you just put it under, and this hook would come between the door and the handle, and you just pull the handle down. But if you're doing the other way, you would want the metal part to come outside the handle, and it would and the string would be between the handle and the hook, right? So yes, so here you have a piece of string here and pull it down, or you can go around here and you can pull it from here. I'm going to do it the way with the string just because it's a little bit easier to use. So basically all you have to do is twist this into a little bit of a loop, and you can put the ribbon through there. Okay, this is probably gonna take just a minute. I'm just gonna straighten this out. Okay, so this is probably good for the top, and then for the bottom, you want like a handle, so you can like put it in and like manipulate it. So what you can do is you can take this piece and just bend it into a little bit of a right angle. Easier if you put it on the ground and just like put on it. Okay, this is pretty much the shape. I'm just gonna straighten out a little bit. Pretty much it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that's not quite full enough. I'm gonna make it change the shape a little bit so we can reach the handle. Probably could work. If it doesn't, I have one that I already made, that I can show you. Well, actually, I'll show the one that I already made, and then we'll see if this one works. So basically, the way this works is. What is is this door ready to see or the other one?
What?
I don't know, I was gonna like show it, like each place.
Do that one.
This one?
Maybe like point the camera at it.
Sure. You guys wanna like come over and see it?
I would love to go. Oh, he's on his side view. This is a new thing. There's a side view of it. That's good. That's happens. Oh, this is look it up. Here. No, it's the old side view.
Blindly,
No.
You really need like longer to keep providing this one. I think the one in my one is a little bit shorter. You can like buy a metal wire and details to do it. But yeah, and you can see the way you line it up is that you can see the handle is the same on both sides, right? Before you like put the thing under a tube, you can see the exact height of the board, and you can see like where it is. You can bring it over, you can see it out where you do it. I don't think this looks like, I think it's a little bit taller than this. It's just, I think it's close to 38. It's usually the range of the. See if I can modify this to a little bit taller later.
Right. Awesome. Now, there's something. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, so I have mine stashed on top of my kitchen for if I get locked out. You can't really see it unless you like climb on top and look. So yeah, I've already gotten locked out. I've gotten locked out a couple times, including when I was making these slides. I went out to like take some pictures of doors. I left my buzz card in my room. So I use this to get back in. And also, like the very first week of class, I had an advanced standing exam for 1331. And when I took the practice test, I took my like buzz card out and I had to like scan it for an honor walk. And then I didn't put it back in my wallet. And then I had my wallet. I put my wallet in my pocket. I went to the bathroom because they said there's no bathroom breaks during the test. And I was like, okay, I went to the bathroom. I'm ready to leave. It's right before my exam, and I got locked out. And I didn't have this tool then, and I had to call the housing, which took like 15 minutes or 20 minutes to come open the door. And that was why, I thought I need a better solution to this problem. So I made this. Some other things you can do is see this door. you can see how it opens outward. So this is the stairwell side. And this is the restricted side is on the other side. This is public access, right? So usually when you have a door like this, you'd want the hinges to be on the restricted side. Or if you remember, I said like the door frame and the door is usually on the other side. If you're trying to like put a traveler's hook or shim something. Well, this time the frame is there and the door is on your side. So in addition to all that stuff with the traveler's hook and like shimming it, which you can't do because there's a dead latch here and it's installed properly. Another thing you can do if the door is on your side is there are hinges on this side. And so what's stopping the door from coming out, right? On one side you have the hinge, and the other side you have the latch, right? So instead of removing the latch and then swinging out this way, what you can do is you can remove the hinges and just swing it out the other way. And this is actually not that hard to do. You can just take like a hammer and like a screwdriver or just like anything pointy, you just hit it a few times and the hinges will pop out and you can back the door away. The external doors here are like reinforced or something, I think. So they're quite difficult to remove the hinges. But that's why they have the hinges on the outside, they open out. But like all these internal doors, these have like 3 little pieces of hinge. So that's quite easy to remove the hinge. Yeah. These are some locks I've seen around campus. So the brand is called Cormax, and the like model, the type is, well, the company's Cormax, the model is Best. So these are really common in educational institutions. They've had them at my high school. They probably had them at all of your high schools and stuff, and all the schools and colleges and all sorts of places like that. Basically, you can see that they don't look like a regular lock because they have 2 parts here. They have the keyway and they have the logo and a different cylinder, right? So these are called SFIC. So that stands for Small Format Interchangeable Core. So what you can do with them is easily just remove the lock from the thing, right? So interchangeable core means that you can change out the core. So this is the core, this is like the lock itself, right? You can change that out really easily, and small format is just like a smaller version. I think they had larger versions of these before. So the way that works is there's 2 shear lines in here. There's a control shear line and operator shear line. So the operator shear line is like the shear line that you would use normally to open the lock, and the control shear line is a different key that when you put in allows you to remove the whole core from the lock. So this is like a regular lock, right? So for those of you who are unfamiliar with how a regular lock works, this is basically how it works, where you have different pins inside the cylinder and you have a key that comes in and out, and it raises those pins to different heights. And when each of those pins is at the same height as the shear line here, then the core can turn. But if one of them's at a different height, then when you try to turn it, it's going to turn and it's going to hit one of those pins. So it's going to be blocked from turning. Right? But this is okay, so this is this is how you pick lock, right? So you turn the lock and then you would apply some pressure, and then one of these pins was going to hit the shear line first, or like it's gonna hit the core first because there's tolerances, right? So all of these pins are not the right height to turn, but one of them is going to be the one that's actually preventing the core from turning. So you pick that one until it goes to the right height, and the different one's gonna stop the core from turning, and you call that the binding pin. So this is normal lock picking, right? This is not SFIC. For SFIC, so for SFIC, you just basically, you have 2 shear lines. I don't have a diagram of this, but you have 2 of these shear lines, right? So when you're picking it, you don't know if it's the control shear line or the operator shear line. So you can feel like a click into place, and even if you can tell the difference between like a regular pin and like a security pin, which is like a pin that has like little like notches or serrations or something else on the side, so it feels like you hit the shear line. Even if you can tell the difference between a regular pin and a security pin, even then you have 2 shear lines. So hard to tell the difference, and it can be quite difficult to pick. But the way the control shear line is usually, I think the control shear line is the higher one and the operator shear line is the lower one, right? So when you pick to the operator shear line, there are these 2 pins in the back that turn, and those turn, and then that you can, however you installed it, that engages the latch mechanism. If you pick the control, this is called a locking lug, and that retracts in and allows you to remove the core. Because you see this protrudes out, and that prevents you from removing the core because it like is into the lock body. But that turns in, and then you can remove the lock itself. So yeah, but it's not really that hard to pick if you like know what you're doing. I mean, these are YouTube shorts of people picking it, so that should like tell you about how long it takes to open it if you've like practiced and you like understand how to do that. But also you know, even if you aren't very good at picking, I think if you try long enough, you can because there's 2 shear lines, right? And I think most of them have like 7 pins. I think at least the ones here have like 7 pins, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but that's like 2 to the 7 if you like randomly hit one of the shear lines. So 128 if you have a little bit of time. If you have like lock in your possession, which each of you have in your room, you could just take a little bit of time and figure it out. Yeah, there's a lot more YouTube videos about people like unlocking them. And then if you pick it to control, you can remove the lock. For legal reasons, I did not remove the lock. Okay. I did not remove the lock. I found it like this. I don't know who removed the lock. I'm assuming it was maintenance and they forgot to put one in. I don't know. But yeah, if you pick it to control, you can remove the lock. And then you can disassemble the lock and you can figure out which pins are inside, right? And if you have like a pair of calipers, you can measure the pins and you can figure out what kind of key would open it to control, which kind of key would open it to operator. And you can make a master key. So yeah, don't do that, but I'm just saying that might be a security risk that the school should consider. I don't have a solution to that, but I just noticed. I noticed this. When was this? This was a few weeks ago. I was going to one of my classes in the morning, and as I come out the stairwell, right? As I'm coming down the stairwell, there's a guy coming up, and he has like a chain of keys. He has like 2 bags. What he's doing is he's put the key in, he turns it, and he takes the lock out, like the lock comes out with the key, and he puts it in one bag, and he takes it, but goes into another bag, and he puts the key in, and he puts another lock in. So he was like replacing all the locks in our stairwell with new SFIC locks. So that's like the benefit of SFIC. You can really easily interchange the locks. If you have a key compromise or something like that, all you have to do is take the control key, turn it, take the lock out, put a new lock in, and now you have a new secure lock. But all the locks in the stairwell he was replacing, but I come out the building, right? And I see on one of the external entrances, one of the external doors, there's a guy with like a drill, and he's like drilling into the door. And I was pretty confused what was going on. It was very loud. And I was like, okay, I'll look at this later. And I come back when my classes are over and I see this. There's like a big hole in the lock. They drilled out the whole thing. I guess they lost the control key and couldn't replace the lock. It was like this for a few days. What was interesting is if you turn the whole lock body, not even just like go inside and like turn the thing, if you just turn the whole lock body, the door unlocks. So yeah, but I don't think any of the other locks do like that. So yeah. So if you had a key, you could like put that in and turn it, and it would unlock the latch. But like for other locks, like for here, I don't know if these have ones, but on your doors, the lock only engages the deadbolt, not the actual latch. But here it engages the latch. Yeah. Is there anything else I want to say about this? Yeah. Okay. Another way you could get a master key is they have these Knox boxes around all the buildings. So a Knox box is basically, well, Knox is like a private company, but they've partnered with fire departments all over the US. And basically they have these boxes in front of each of these buildings. Every building in Georgia Tech has one. Inside is a master key to every single lock in the building. And these Knox boxes are protected by a lock that only the fire department has a key to. So if there's a fire in your building, yeah, well, yeah. Okay, anyway, so if there's a fire in your building, then they can come open the Knox box, get the master key, and come in and save whoever needs saving, or get to the part where the fire is and put that out. Yeah, question?
Does this mean that all of our locks in a building are the exact same?
Not the exact same, right?
How does one key open them all if they're not?
Well, there are ways to master key locks where if you have multiple pins in there, right? There are multiple heights at which you can raise it to open the lock, right? Because there has to be, the shear line has to be between 2 pins so that it can turn. But if you have multiple pins, right, there's multiple options for what you could raise it to. But yeah. There is one key that will open all of them, but it is still possible to make keys that will open some and not others. But I think it's a little bit harder to do with the SFIC locks because they already have 2 shear lines, so they already have multiple pins. And if you try to add even more pins for master keys, I think that gets a bit difficult. You can end up with like issues with the pins being too small. But yeah. So they use another SFIC format, not the one that Best uses. Best is like probably by far the most common SFIC brand, but they use something called Medico cylinders, which are similar. They're like the same shape and everything SFIC. They're also like pretty difficult to pick. But yeah, all of these have the same key. So if you were to, I think Seattle maybe had a leak of the Knox box key, and then they had like reports of people like getting into Knox boxes, getting the master key, and then stealing stuff from places. But that was just Seattle. Each municipality, each jurisdiction has its own Knox box master key that opens these Knox boxes. So only the fire department here in Atlanta, or maybe like Georgia Tech. I think we share a police department, share a fire department with Atlanta. So only the Atlanta Fire Department has keys to these. The Atlanta Fire Department can't access like a different city's stuff. So yeah. And it's only the fire department. I don't think the police department has access. They need like a warrant to like get in and do stuff. This is just for if there's an emergency. Just random other bonus stuff. This is there's like roof access places. I talked about like in my building, right? There's a roof access where you can just go under the door and do the underdoor attack and do it, or like a maintenance room, because it has the California return handle. But some other buildings, they have like just like a padlock that protects it. But if you look at this padlock, right, what a padlock does is it like locks and holds the thing in place, or you can have multiple things inside the shackle that it holds in place. But if you think about like a chain, right, there's 2 links in a chain that you hold in place, and you hold it together, the chain together. Or if you have like a luggage thing, you hold the 2 zippers together. This one is attached to one thing, so you can just like move that thing out of the way. I think there was a second thing that it was supposed to be attached to, but that got broken off somehow. So this lock is literally doing nothing. So I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Also, besides that, it's like a master lock. So I don't know if you guys know the reputation of master lock, but it's not very good. There are several ways to open this lock. I'm pretty sure you can shim the shackles, or you can just put like, if you have like a soda can or something, you can just take a piece of aluminum, put it in between the wheels here, and just feel the bump where the correct wheel is. So there's plenty of ways to open that. They also painted over the whole thing, so I don't think you can unlock this, even though, you know, there's like no lock anymore. They just painted the whole mechanism like holding it together, so you can't actually like open the door without like breaking all the paint off.
I wonder who they paid it. Like who did it? This, that.
We got paid by the square inch.
Maybe they got paid by the amount of people they use.
Okay, so we talked a lot about internal doors, but like to get into a building itself, right? There are external doors, and those don't use the California return like style handles. They use like push bars, but they also have these accessibility like the wheelchair buttons, right? Where you press it, then it'll open the door. But with these same hangers, right? These hangers are a little bit like short. They're like barely enough to reach most of the door handles. Even this one was like I couldn't really reach, but like the one in my room I could reach. You need a much longer piece of wire, maybe like double this length. But you could go around and grab these wheelchair buttons, and a lot of them are like square and they have 6 holes on them. So if you just put your the hanger into the holes, it fits. And if you just pull on it, right, you don't have to push straight in order to activate these. If you just push on one of the sides or pull on one of the sides and you twist it, it'll activate. So that'll just open any of these doors. Right. So oh, and the other thing is this one, it shows grabbing the hole. But the other thing you can do is not all of them have holes, and it's a little bit finicky to get it right in that really tiny hole. So what you can do is you can grab off to the side here. I'll show on here so that people online can see. But you can grab off to the side here, and if you just pull it, it'll also twist. And that'll, you know, activate the door. Yeah.
And this is for the doors that are buzz card access locked?
Yeah. Yeah. Because well, if you're inside, you don't need a buzz card to exit, right? You can just
Right.
This is on the inside, right? So you would take a hanger and you would put it under the door, because all of these doors, even the external doors, they have a little bit of like weatherproofing, stop like the HVAC from like you know, running all the time and all the air going out. But there's like brushes on the bottom. But those you can like separate them out. You can just push anything underneath. And I showed before, even though if they have like some weather like thing, they have like you can see the light can come through in certain spots, and you can easily put a piece of wire in. But I think under the door is the easiest way to get in. Any other questions? Okay, yeah. So you can grab one of these holes, which is a little bit harder, or you can just grab onto the side and twist it and pull it. Here, so like this is some examples of doors where it's like right next to it. You could just put a hanger or something under, grab the side and pull, and it would twist it, and then it would activate. There's some more examples. These ones are not like these ones are parallel to the door, so you'd have to like reach around. Like the ones I just showed were perpendicular, so you'd pull towards you. These ones you could I've also tried it out. If you just pull on these, it'll just activate. This is another thing I found in one of the dorms. Somebody just put tape over the latch, so it never locks ever.
Did you untape or?
Yeah, I was about to, and then someone else removed it. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I found it like a couple days ago, and I was gonna remove the tape earlier today before I gave the talk, but yeah, someone removed it earlier today before I did. But the reason they taped it, right? Is that door, it isn't connected to the bus card. There's a bus card reader right next to it, and when you tap it, it turns green, it beeps, everything. You go to the door and it doesn't unlock. So someone like wired it up wrong where it's just not connected. And so I think the people in this building got kind of tired of that and just put some tape over it. Yeah?
Or it's just not wired to give access to students.
No, every other door, like it is supposed to, because there's like another door in the same location on the opposite side, and there's another door right above that gives access to students, and it's like definitely supposed to be used by students, right? It's the same stairwell, just one floor below. There's nothing extra here. Yeah, I'm very confident it's supposed to be used by students. So yeah. Any other questions? But this I would not recommend you do this, even if you know you can't if your bus card doesn't work. I talked a little bit about like the student policies. You're not supposed to give anyone else access, and this lets pretty much anyone access your building. So in addition to the safety implications, you know, it could also lead to some consequences. Okay, just some final things I'd like to say. I think physical security and cybersecurity are pretty similar. I'm really interested in both, and they're both about ways to like misuse something like the security. You know, if there's a security precaution, what are some ways that you can get around it? It's all about looking for like loopholes and ways that you can use stuff in ways that they're not intended to be used. So I think they're very similar. And at least when I'm going around my regular day, I can't help but like think about what are some ways that I could use this in a way that wasn't meant to be used. Or if someone tells me a set of rules, I can't help but think of a way to find a loophole. So I'm always like, I can't help but see this when I look at stuff. See those kinds of things. Yeah. So if you guys see anything around campus that you think is interesting, let me know. I saw all this is mostly from one building, like my building. I looked a little bit around other buildings, but not too much. There's a couple pictures from other buildings. So I haven't really looked around campus too much. But there's probably a lot of other interesting stuff in other buildings. So feel free to reach out if you see anything cool. So yeah, you should be fine as long as you don't damage or disassemble anything you don't own. And the stuff in your room belongs to the school, right? It's the room the lock on the door to your room is not something you own. Like if you buy a lock online, sure, try lock picking it or whatever. But you know, don't do anything to campus property, don't damage or disassemble anything. And if you try to do like a non-destructive form of access, right, where you like try to do an under door tool or something, don't do it to any place that you shouldn't already be. If you do it to your own dorm room, you're probably fine, right? But don't try to go into someone else's room unless you have their explicit permission or anything like that. This is a couple videos that I watched a while ago that like were the inspiration for most of the stuff behind this. And any final questions? Yeah.
But like on a lock, how easy is it to like break one of the pins inside of the lock?
I think you'd be more likely to break your lock-picking tool before you break the pins inside the lock. I don't think that's very common at all.
They're usually steel or brass, like no chance you're gonna break it.
Yeah, because the lock picks have to be thin enough to get into the keyway. So usually those are pretty thin and those will break long before the pins inside. Any other questions?
Something I might want to add is that if you do decide to try picking a lock or try picking a lock or a keyway, a forensic analyst will pretty easily be able to tell that you try to attack the lock just because of, like when you apply pressure to the core and try like to push the pins to the different positions, you leave a lot of visible damage inside of the lock that can be detected if someone takes it apart.
Yeah, the kinds of scratches left inside by a key going in and by a lockpick going in are usually very different, and forensic analysts could easily tell the difference.
Only fake locks have been fixed before.
Sure.
Don't be the last person to pick up.
Well, I mean, if you're the last person, you can still blame it on the person before you. Any other questions?
And you see a big difference between like roof access door
Well, the roof access is usually like a ladder or something, I think. Yeah, I mean, those ones, I think they are just like only mechanical. I think like the floor access, like for like external doors, right? They have the buzz card, but they also have a physical key. I don't remember. I think in my building, the roof access only had a buzz card, but in like the other building, there was like padlock thing and there was no buzz card or key. It was just like padlock with a combination. So I'm not entirely sure. I haven't like looked around too many of the buildings.
All right. Once again, this is Nash. Give it up for Nash. Hold on.
How do you plan to get the outside of the roof?
Don't worry about it. Best for I think sometimes like go on the or way but I have to Wait, what is it? What is it? Like that is impacting the blue. Yeah.